Our community is asking that the government of Canada renew the Black Entrepreneurship Program at $100 million and renews the SBCCI program at $50 million annually.
So thank you, Tiffany and Augustine. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
We're good.
And how is everything at Face Coalition?
Good. Going strong, working hard to continue to serve community. And we are really, really compelled by the work that we've been doing the last couple months. So we're glad to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. There's something really, really big in our community. I would say March 2025 seems to be a black month for our community if nothing is done. But before jumping all the way to March, let's see what is happening currently. There are 3 core programs that have been very instrumental in changing our communities: businesses, organizations, opportunities for people to volunteer and develop and build skills, people looking for loans for their businesses, funding different organizations. This has happened to the tune of $800 million from the government, but this is in jeopardy if nothing is done. So you want to talk a bit about some of the big programs, BEP, SBCCI, the Black-led philanthropic fund, what is the impact some of them have done before going to why we want this to continue?
Right. Sure. No problem, Franklin. So I think it's important to capture that in the essence of those 3 programs, which are historic, and that they also fall at a time where we are having a global reflection on the people of African descent globally. So for Canada to recognize the UN's Decade of People of African Descent and then launch 3 historic initiatives, the first being the SBCCI, which focus is to help Black nonprofit organizations to be able to work on governance and infrastructure to make sure that they can continue to serve all across the country, different Black communities in terms of different, and really addressing different systemic issues that our communities face. We know that not only from a historic perspective, Canada has always been a country where organizations and associations form to help communities to become safe, to be able to have needs fulfilled, and to be able to help them to see a better day-to-day. And Black communities have not been outside of that narrative. We've been tremendously involved in creating local movements that help people every day to have a better Canadian experience. And the SBCCI was created to help those organizations to continue to develop. Next, you have the BEP, which is the Black Entrepreneurship Program, which goal was to ensure that Black entrepreneurs across this country have not only the capacity building support, meaning how to start, scale, and grow their businesses, but also the capital access for their businesses to participate in the market and to contribute to Canada's overall economic growth. So underneath that umbrella, you have organizations across the country who have taken up the mantle to work with businesses to frame up and start up their businesses from a technical perspective, understanding the proper information, best practices, how to be connected to professionals that can help to strengthen their business from the foundation. And our mandated phase, which was to give access to capital up to $250,000 in loans. And we, in our 3 years, have been able to disperse over 500 loans, businesses across the country. That's over $40 million dispersed in the hands of Black businesses. And last and not least, the Endowment Fund, which is Canada's first Black philanthropic fund dedicated to Black communities. The FFBC released a fantastic report called the Unfunded Report, where we learned that less than 1 cent of every $100 goes to, I'm gonna rephrase that. 7 cents of every $100 in the philanthropic Canadian landscape goes to Black communities. And that is insufficient considering the nature of the philanthropic landscape here in Canada. And the Endowment Fund is a $200 million fund, the first of its kind, that is dedicated to Black communities. So these 3 initiatives, which are all aligned with the UN's recommendations around supporting people of African descent around the world, demonstrates Canada's trust in Black communities developing, stewarding, and guiding the outcomes or the vehicles for the outcomes that they need for themselves. And with these three important initiatives, we have started to lay not just projects, and I think it's important to note that we have laid institutions. We've laid the foundations of institutions that can serve for generations to come. So we have to protect these initiatives because they have the capability to change the trajectory of our communities within our own hands, and we deserve continued consistent support from our government to do just that.
So you mentioned the impact that a program like the Black Entrepreneurship Program, BEP, has created. When I'm looking at the report here, I'm looking at over 3,800 jobs and these companies have generated over $220 million. You want to talk a bit more about that and some of the success stories that you guys have in with Face Coalition that have funded over $40 million worth of businesses?
Absolutely. So when you think about those initiatives, they themselves have created jobs, right, within them. So we have now individuals who have now been able to work under these initiatives, and then with their efforts have now been able to support businesses and the spin-offs of all of the nonprofits to be able to also create jobs. So job creation is one of the indicators of success. And in this small window of time of 3 years, we have to recognize what that metric indicates, considering the Black community has one of the highest unemployment rates across the country. As far as the economic impact and what that means to be able to invest over $40 million in the hands of entrepreneurs into a revolving loan fund, which means that all of the principal, interest, and fees related to this fund is going to be recultivated and shared back to other entrepreneurs. So what we've created is an evergreen opportunity for entrepreneurs to have access to capital. So as businesses continue to develop their capacity with ecosystem partners and start their businesses and become loan ready or finance ready, the fund is there to now be able to continue to lend up to $250,000 as they reinvest. And then these businesses, as they are committed to paying back their loans, they're paying back into the growth of their community. So I think it's a larger context that we have to consider. And with Canada in its economic recovery strategy, it requires that all Canadians be mobilized and active in playing a role in Canada becoming strong, regaining its strength after the pandemic and after the different issues we've seen around the interest rate hikes and inflation and all of these things that we've dealt with over the last couple of years. All hands on deck and giving all Canadians, including Black Canadians, the tools to contribute to Canada's growth is what we're seeing that has budded in this time. And we have to ensure the continuum of that because it is not just good for our community, it is good for Canada.
Thank you, Tiffany. So somebody listening to you will say, with all these successes, thousands of jobs created, millions of dollars invested back into the Canadian economy, why should we worry about these programs?
We should worry about these programs because you cannot resolve 400 years of oppression in 3 years.
Good. So what is these programs are going to soon end, right?
Well, the idea is that those programs are supposed to end. They have a closing date of March 31st, 2025. We are looking at the fall economic statement to ensure that the government of Canada demonstrates its continued support of these programs as we have delivered. With the mandate was taken up, we executed on that mandate, and to ensure that they prove to Black Canadians and Canadians in general that this government is committed to equity, this government is committed to growth, this government is committed to addressing systemic barriers that they have acknowledged exist. They then reinvest in this program so it can continue to work, and in a longer scope of time, be able to say that this has made a long-term impact for a community that has been underserved and marginalized.
So what is our community asking going forward?
Our community is asking that the government of Canada renew the Black Entrepreneurship Program at $100 million and renews the SBCCI program at $50 million annually per annum to allow for its continued growth. We're also asking our community to extend itself to the government of Canada and share the importance of the continuity of these programs because it is a direct investment in our maturity and in our autonomy as a community. So we need for community to rally around these historic programs, because if we do not protect these institutions, they will become just that, history. And we are not done making history. We are not done forging our future. So we need to make sure that community engages and speaks to government and says, this is an important program because it is about us, for us, with us. And that is the nature of what we need to do as a community at this stage. We will pick up the mantle as the organizations who lead it, but it is for members of the community. So we need them with us as well to state the importance of this program, or these programs, I should say.
Thank you. I think this is something that is crucially important to the survival and growth of our community. With all the jobs that I'm hearing, with all the millions of dollars invested back into the Canadian economy, which is a struggling economy, and having that many jobs is crucial and it's important. Anything else you want to share with our audience with Diversity Magazine and all diversity platforms, Tiffany?
The only thing that I would share with community, and this is where I'll use this opportunity to speak to us and those of us who should never consider ourselves a part of a banner. We are not organizations that are going to the government and saying, reinvest in our organizations. The message is continue to trust Black people to lead our own initiatives that will bring us the outcomes that we desire and require. And the government of Canada should continue to hold its word, as the Prime Minister stated in February of 2024, that that they would extend the UN's decade for people of African descent until 2028 to, at minimum, continue to ensure that these three initiatives that directly align and demonstrate Canada's commitment to Black Canadians are sustained.
Indeed, we'll keep the voice as loud as possible. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Augustine. Keep doing the good work at FACE. That's Tiffany, who is the CEO of FACE Coalition, and Augustine, who is, I guess, should be Director of Communications, right, Augustine?
Yes.
Good. I get it right.
Thank you so much, Franklin. Thank